So, the question on everybody's lips, is it worth building your own van, doing a van conversion yourself? And the answer is yes. So, that's the shortest video that I've ever done. There is more to it than that. And I am not a professional by any stretch of the imagination. It's been a bit of a journey, but it's been so worthwhile for me and for Bronnie. So I haven't done huge amounts of filming of the van build itself. That's because you've got people like Gadget John and Luke and Greg Virgo and all of these sort of people who actually know what they're doing, and Mel's World is another one. So they know what they're doing, and I don't particularly. Now, for me, that made it a daunting task to start with. So when I first brought the van back, I opened the back doors, so it was empty. I took the bulkhead out, so it opened up the entire van, and I'm looking at this massive space, and I thought, where do you start? Just where do you start? And for me, where I started was in the planning stage. So we looked at all of the things that we wanted in the van and all the things that we didn't, how we wanted the van laid out. And then I watched copious amounts of YouTube videos. Some of the aforementioned people were included in those, but it was lots of videos, and not just about van building. It was about carpentry, it was about electrics, it was about plumbing, it was about all sorts of things, everything from doing the sealant. I watched videos on it, and it's not that I'm incompetent. I can hammer a nail in straight, and I can saw a piece of wood in a straight line, but my skill level was negligible, to be honest with you. I wouldn't even say I was a handyman. I was somebody that could do stuff around the house. I can fit a plug, I can do all of those things. But as for being a tradesman, certainly not. So for me, it was a learning curve. I'm building up skill sets. There were very few occasions where we had to do something again. To do something, pull it out, and then and do it again. And the reason for that wasn't because of any skill set. It was because of the fact that I really took my time. It's taken me a long time to build the van, as you know. But I took my time over each piece and did the old adage. You know, the adage is you measure twice, cut once, and I was probably measuring 3 or 4 times and then thinking about it, then having a cup of tea, then re-measuring because I wasn't sure if I got it right in the first place. But eventually we got there, and we started to get there. So I approached it with a bottom to top, the same way as you build any city. So you wouldn't just build a house. You would, first of all, you would put in the utilities, you would put in the gas, the electric, the plumbing, and all of those things. And that's what I did with the van. Also, at that stage in a van build, also becomes things like the insulation and sound deadening and good morning, Ollie. Sound deadening and getting the windows cut out. All of these little jobs that need to be done prior to you fitting in the inside of the van. Otherwise, you know, you'd be sort of backtracking all the time. So my advice would be to do it in stages, one at a time. And although it's laborious and it's not pretty, putting in all of the things like putting in the, you know, insulating the floor, putting in the battens, putting those in, just standing there for a couple of hours, rollering on sound deadening mat. They're not sexy jobs, you know, but they have to be done. And if you can get that part done and dusted, then all of a sudden when you start to build the van, or I found this anyway, when you start to build a van, you start to look at it in a different light. It starts to come alive. I can remember the first time actually that I felt that coming alive and sensation, if you like, for the van, and that was when Bronnie was doing the first coat of paint on the sidewalls, and it just took on that new colour, and it just, in my eyes, just started to bloom, and we started to look at it in a different light. It became then from a van build into a, we're building our home. Research. I did months of research, and it wasn't, again, just, hello, it wasn't just because for van building itself, and it wasn't just the electrics and all the rest of it. It was also about looking at other vans and thinking, oh, I like that idea, oh, I don't like that idea, oh, I like that, I don't like that. But then also marrying that with why we were going to use the van, or how we were going to use the van. We don't plan to sell a house or anything, we're going to keep the house. Will we go for months at a time? Yes, but we're not going to live full time in the van. So you have to think about why you're going to use it. Hello. Do you want to say hello to everybody? Say hello. Hello. Say hello, Ollie. Say hello. You ought to. Yeah. Oops. What's the matter? What's the matter? No. Sit there for a minute. What? Do you want to go out in the garden? Is that what it is? 1 minute. Okay, sorry about that. So we researched about the interiors, if you like. We had a good nosy around, and you go on to people's websites, they do van tours, and have a look at what's suitable for you. So for one of the examples of that would be, we've put a shower in our van, and lots of people don't. They don't feel it's necessary. They can use it on campsites or whatever. We felt it was necessary. It's just a personal choice. There's no rhyme or reason to that. It's just personal choice. Solar panels. Everybody swears by solar panels, and I generally think they're fantastic, but I just don't think we'll never need them. We have enough battery power to last us a couple of days. We don't envisage being off-grid for days and days and days at a time. We're more likely to pop into a campsite and recharge that way, and we plan to be driving, so obviously with the smart charger it will charge all of that up as we go along. So for us, now I might be wrong about this, okay, but for us it wasn't that important. If you're like me and you don't have the skill sets, you also possibly don't have the tools. That has been an expense. Okay, I didn't have any tools. I had a hammer and a screwdriver and the usual sort of things, but I didn't have saws, I didn't have circular saws, I didn't have jigsaws, I didn't have all of these things. And I hadn't bought a new tool for years. So I went out and there were things that I bought, and for me that mounted up. Issues wise, I think our biggest issue with the van build has not been developing those skills. It's been the weather and the fact that we don't have anywhere to build the van other than on the drive next to the house. So sometimes weather was limiting. It would have been nice, or if you can get a friend who's got a barn or something like that, I think that's an ideal situation. I know barns can be just as cold, but in winter when you're doing these builds, but you can also stay dry, and you don't have to. If you're in a position where you don't, every single night I would have to put all the tools away, clean the yard up, put everything away again, even on the dry days obviously. I put everything away, and it was a, you know, a half an hour job just to clear it up and for it to become a home again. Although, having said that, the conservatory hasn't been a home for 18 months. You know, it's been a stockpile place, okay, of tools and wood and whatever. But you know, surely it's slowly but surely it all started to come together. Now we're getting to the point now where we're at the very exciting stage. We think there are very, very few jobs to do. We think the van, apart from the cushions, we're still waiting on the cushions. The upholsterer guy, it's a really nice guy, and they do some fantastic work. I've seen their work. So it's not a question of that. It's a question of them being able to produce it on time. Shutting down their place, there was a delay because of this whole COVID-19 thing and the material coming in and one thing and another. So apart from that, we think the van is going to be finished this weekend. There's very few little jobs to do, and we're thrilled about that, absolutely thrilled about it. The only thing I would say with regards to that, we had planned, or I had planned more than Bronnie, but I had planned to do a sexy van tour, you know, put it somewhere nice next to the beach, do a couple of drone shots or something, and do it that way. Whether we're going to be able to do that, I don't know. The van tour may be from the side of the house, which is where the van is now, and at the moment here in Wales, I know that they're starting to open a few things up in England, but in Wales we're still in lockdown, and to be honest with you, I can't see that van moving shortly. I'm hoping to obviously, but we'll just bear with that. If it comes to a stage where it's finished and I'm itching to make a van tour video, I'll do it outside. If not, I'll wait a week or two and then do it from a beach, which would be the ideal. So once your confidence grows in your build, you will notice that there are days that you've worked all day and you look back in the van and you think, nothing's changed. Absolutely nothing has changed in that van. But you've been working all day at something. And it's those niggly jobs that can take the time. But there are days where you have a good day and you look back and you think, wow, we've achieved something today. We had one of those last weekend. I thought, do you know what, these niggly bits that we're finishing off at the moment is never ending. And then we'd made a list and we completed that list. We made another list and we're just at the end of it. And we literally racked our brains to think, is there anything else that needs to be done? And we think we've covered everything on that list. And looking at the list and knowing how long these jobs take now, because I've gained that experience, we do feel that it'll be ready on Sunday night, by Sunday night. So that's our little story. There are things for you to be. There are some thrills and there are some regrets. Okay. In my earlier videos, you would have seen once or twice, and I referred to him quite a bit. You would have seen once or twice when my dad came down and helped. He did a little bit of painting of the battens of under the bed and things like that. But he enjoyed watching me build, and he enjoyed coming down and seeing where we were and pottering around and sitting in the van with his cup of tea, and he loved all of those things. So it is a regret of mine that he won't see the finished article. Now people will say, oh, you know what, he's looking down or whatever. But I would have liked to have had that conversation with him. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Are you pleased with it? And take him out for rides in it and make him lunch in it. So I miss out on all of those things. But I do know that, that's one of my regrets. The other part to think about when you're building a van is the frightening moments. And they, for me, have all been about cutting holes in vans. Okay, there are some that I've done myself. There are some that the windows, I got a window company to come in and do it. Auto glass type people and they were great. They did a fantastic job. There's not been an issue with the windows. They are absolutely water sealed. The fans are water sealed and cut properly. There was the vent going into for the Truma heater from the side of the van. There were other drainage holes, things like that. Now, as long as you're taking the right precautions and making sure that you're not drilling into anything, and you're drilling into the right space and measure properly and take your time over that, because it is a frightening experience. Make sure that you're covering the metal again once you've made a hole. Make sure that you're painting off the edges to make sure that they don't rust up, and do all those things. Now, mate, what's the matter? You want to go back out? You do, don't you? Okay. Those for me were the frightening moments. But you know, the question at the beginning, finances, let's look at finances. I'm not going to tell you what I spent, because it's irrelevant. Your budget is your budget. But what I would say is, you've got the budget for buying the van and budget for doing it up. The budget for doing it up, double it. And whatever that budget is, work to it, and you will be pleased with your vehicle. You will be pleased. It doesn't matter whether you spend £10,000, £20,000 doing it up, or you spend £1,000 doing it up. Doesn't matter. It's your van, and if you're pleased with how it turns out and you've got what you've got, then you're going to end up having a wonderful time in it, you know. And that's what camper vans are all about. It isn't about how much money you can pour into something. It's, are you pleased with it, and are you looking forward to spending some time in it, mate? Are you looking forward to spending some time in it? And I think if that's my yardstick, and in our case, we are thrilled with what we've done. It might not be to everybody's taste, we understand that, but we are thrilled with what we've done, and we cannot wait to get out in it now and be part of that whole van life scene. That's a lot of chat, so I'm going to leave it there. If there are any questions, please put them in the comments, because there are also some people from YouTube that do watch the channel, and they may be able to help out as well with some answers if you have any questions. I will try my best to answer what I can, but my advice is go for it. Absolutely 100% go for it.